Good afternoon and welcome to Nokia's Press and Analyst event. The event is starting. Please take your seats. Please welcome Nokia's President and Chief Executive Officer, Pekka Lundmark.
Hey, thank you and warmly welcome to Nokia's Press and Analyst event at Mobile World Congress today. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a full house today and great to see you all. We have a fantastic presence at Mobile World Congress this year. You will see when you go to the booth and the booths, you will see that we have a slightly different approach this year. We have actually spread our investment much more broadly this year. In addition to our own booth, we are present at 20 other booths as well, together with our partners, because this business is all about partnerships, and we'll be announcing some exciting partnerships also during this event, including today. So we have a lot of great demonstrations showing our technology leadership and especially how these technologies will help our customers. And of course, this event is mainly about service providers, how we help service providers to do better business. Let's start with the context for our industry. And of course, we all know that everybody's talking about AI and cloud today, and that's really exciting. But we have to remember that connectivity, and not only connectivity, but trusted connectivity, underpins all of that. Without trusted connectivity, we will not be able to reap the benefits of AI, cloud, or digitalization in general. So for those technologies to deliver on their potential, our customer service providers need to be in good shape so that they are able to tap to new revenue streams, better managing network complexity and cutting their total cost of ownership. So we very much see our role, and you will see this as a theme throughout the show, that we want our service provider customers to improve their monetization, improve their total cost of ownership, improve their return of investment. We are demonstrating a few ways at this show to help service providers to do that, and we are doing that through cloudification, automation, interoperability, and monetization solutions. And now a few words on each, and I will start with cloudification. Many parts of the network can move to cloud, and this of course makes the network more scalable and more responsive to customer needs. We have a lot of exciting announcements on this one. Just one I want to mention is just a couple of days ago announcement with Bell Canada using Nokia's AirScale portfolio alongside with Red Hat and Dell technologies for the cloud infrastructure to develop both cloud and open RAN capabilities. And there is another exciting deal actually coming tomorrow, just as a small teaser. So this is about basically all parts of the network, but of course the core network is an extremely important part of it, and we are pushing very hard and very fast the core network to get cloudified, to make it cloud native. And this is an area where we clearly have a market leadership. It has been discussed quite a lot that the 5G standalone core development has been slower than anticipated, which is true, but it is now accelerating, and we have currently, when we look at all the deals that we have made, we have over 120 5G standalone core deals across the world. But the reality is that most of them have not been deployed yet. About 60 service providers in the world have deployed 5G standalone core today, and we have supplied about 35 of them. So it is still fairly early stage, but as said, it is now accelerating, and we have recent deals with AT&T, Ooredoo, Qatar, Telefonica, Spain, just to name a few. Then the second area is automation, and that is connected obviously to cloudification, because when you make your network, and especially the core network, cloud native, that's one prerequisite or enabler for efficient automation. There was a recent study by STL Partners that an average size operator can benefit even $800 million per year in savings and additional revenues through automation. So that's a big number for an average size operator, and that's an annual figure. So we believe that there is a significant potential through the first making the network functions cloud native and then automating them to the fullest extent possible. We have a lot of new AI-powered products that help service providers to win in the AI era. We want to maximize performance, simplify operations, and minimize the OpEx for the customer, from RAN to broadband, fixed broadband, to IP networks, optical networks, basically the whole network, all network domains, because again, we are able to be our customers' trusted connectivity partner for all network domains. We just announced a new agentic AI capabilities, as we call them, across our autonomous networks portfolio. And just as one example of that, we have in our digital operations center, we are now using generative AI to cut the creation time of a network slice from days to minutes. And this is what you can do with the combination of automation and generative AI, from days to minutes to create a network slice. And we have a demonstration of this on our booth that I hope that you all will be able to visit. And there are more advances coming. We have an AI RAN center in Dallas focusing on innovative use cases, and that is a partnership between Nokia, KDDI, SoftBank, T-Mobile US, and NVIDIA. The third area is interoperability. When every part of the network is interoperable, CSP can buy from various vendors to create a network with the best performance and the lowest total cost of ownership. Our solutions can manage and orchestrate networks built using components from multiple vendors, and we are actually the only vendor with proven interoperability across all layers of the radio access network. As one proof point, the recent deal with Deutsche Telekom for over 3,000 sites to support a true multi-vendor O-RAN scale-up in Germany. And the fourth area is monetization. This is vital, obviously, for service providers to tap into new revenue streams via networks. I already mentioned AI, which will create a lot of opportunities to monetize. And of course, here we have a big investment through our Network as Code platform, where we currently have over 50 customers, including significant service providers such as British Telecom, Orange in France, and other countries, and Telefonica. We just announced a new API deal with Deutsche Telekom, and this is just to give you a concrete example what type of APIs will be relevant going forward through Nokia's Network as Code platform. We announced an API for SIM card swap and number verification, which both are security solutions for banks and retail applications. And in the Philippines, Globe Telecom will use our network exposure platform to provide banks with enhanced security via APIs. Then, as a bonus topic, just for your information, in case you have missed it, Nokia Bell Labs will turn 100 years this year. It's a historic source of innovation. Just as one small but important data point, the transistor was invented in Nokia Bell Labs. It replaced vacuum tubes in electronics. In today's smartphone, there is approximately 18 billion transistors, and if they were still vacuum tubes, one iPhone would be the size of Empire State Building. So Nokia Bell Labs, proud youngster of 100 years, is now laying the grounds for the next generation innovations for AI native, quantum ready networks, and of course 6G. Then moving on, I want to quickly mention some strategic opportunities outside of our traditional service provider customers. And of course, service providers are about 80% of our business, and they continue to be the most important customer group that we have a long time into the future. When I talk about growth opportunities outside of service providers, that is in no way mutually exclusive with our service provider business. The first one I want to mention here is data centers, and we announced in connection with Q4 that we are stepping up our investment in data centers in IP networking, aiming at 1 billion of incremental net sales by 2028. We are a challenger in data centers, but we are getting recognized. GigaOm ranked us very recently number 1 in all categories in data center switching, noting, for example, the strength of our feature set. Number 1 in all categories. There is momentum with customers, Microsoft, Nscale, go-to-market partnerships with Kyndryl and Lenovo. And we just announced another deal upgrading Maxis Malaysia data center infrastructure with data center switches and our event-driven automation software. Data centers are getting so complex to manage that automation is extremely important there, and there we have a particularly strong solution through our system that we call EDA, event-driven automation. And then, of course, Infinera, a huge deal. We are so pleased to have closed it just 2 days before the event starts. David Hurd, the Infinera CEO, or previous Infinera CEO, now part of Nokia, is here with us. Federico will talk more about this, but of course this significantly increases our scale in optical networks and accelerates our innovation with web scalers and strengthens our position in the US, including in US manufacturing. The other growth area that we have been talking about is defense. It's vital to have trusted actors in this space. Defense communications is increasingly about real-time situational awareness, strategic, operative, and tactical. We acquired last year a US company, Phoenix Communications. We have now integrated their portfolio with our 5G platform, and we launched in Q4 our Nokia 5G Banshee Flex radio, which is faster and more agile, secure, and resilient than legacy battlefield systems, which often are, from their capabilities point of view, on the level of 3G. Now we are bringing 5G capabilities in capacity, in latency, in security to military communications and to defense in general. To this end, we are announcing an important new partnership here at Mobile World Congress, and there's plenty to say, so let's hear from our partner.
Hi, I'm John Clark, Senior Vice President for Technology and Strategic Innovation at Lockheed Martin. I'm excited to share our new strategic relationship and collaboration with Nokia, along with our longtime 5G.MIL Unified Network Solutions partner, Verizon. Last year, Lockheed Martin and Nokia began working together to integrate Nokia's industry-leading military-grade 5G network solutions into our 5G.MIL hybrid base station products. Leveraging industry open standards and working closely with Verizon, we have successfully demonstrated interoperability and seamless information flow between military tactical communication systems and commercial 5G devices connected to Nokia's 5G solutions in a hybrid network operating environment. This milestone marks a significant step forward in harnessing the combined innovations of Nokia, Verizon, and Lockheed Martin to deliver faster performance, higher reliability, and improved scalability to our defense and national security customers across the globe. My sincere thanks to the Nokia and Verizon teams for their collaboration to achieve this milestone, and I look forward to a bright future working together to solve our customers' toughest challenges.
Great partnership with Lockheed Martin. Defense is going to be a lot about various partnerships that you have to make. Obviously nobody can do everything alone there. And then, of course, the third growth area that we are focusing on is private wireless and industrial edge. We have currently approximately 850 private wireless customers, Rio Tinto, Nippon Steel, Lufthansa. I mean, I could give you a long list. Just one data point, we have now recently been able to implement cases with private wireless and industrial edge where the return on investment to the customer through improved productivity of their operations is 100% return on investment within 2 years. So this is a growing area and definitely worth investing in. And now, before I finish, some very quick comments on the outlook of our 4 business groups. And I start by network infrastructure. And again, our business group heads are here, so they will then be able to, in their parts, go a little bit deeper. But we have great momentum in network infrastructure business. We had 17% growth in our Q4, and we expect strong growth this year. And now, of course, when Infinera is being integrated into Nokia, that then will further boost our capabilities in this business. So strong growth in NI expected this year. Mobile networks, very good momentum also here. We won last year 14 completely new service provider customers, plus increased share with 10. This was in 2024. In connection with the Q4 report, I mentioned that we had won until then, since the beginning of 24, 18,000 new base station sites on a net basis. The momentum has continued, and now only just a little bit more than 1 month after Q4 announcement, I'm proud to say that that number is now over 30,000. So from 18,000 to over 30,000 in just a little bit over a month. And we are taking market share pretty much from all our main competitors. And end markets are improving. As we all know, our AT&T volumes are going down, but now we are assuming largely stable sales in mobile networks this year, which means that what we are losing in AT&T, we are compensating with other customers. Cloud and network services, CNS, I already talked about the momentum in core and in private wireless. Also here we made an acquisition last year called Rapid, which is a company with the world's largest API hub, which will be further supporting our network and network as code business. We expect growth with both 5G core momentum and growth in our ECE business, where the private wireless and edge compute businesses are. So growth expected in CNS as well. And then last but not least, Nokia Technologies, which has now completed the smartphone renewal cycle, including Apple and Samsung. Great progress in new segments like automotive, consumer electronics, IoT, and video streaming. We have recently signed our first 2 deals with Chinese automotive makers. We have already licensed almost every major Western automotive maker, and now we have 2 of the Chinese signed up. We filed a record number of new patents in 2024, and we now have over 7,000 patent families essential to 5G, and we expect to deliver 1.1 billion, approximately 1.1 billion operating profit in 2025. So that is everything I wanted to cover today. We remain 100% focused on execution and technology leadership, which were the priorities I identified when I started in this job 5 years ago. As you know, and I announced my retirement from a CEO job a few weeks ago. You know, I've been listed company CEO for 23 years. That's 92 quarters. I'm not planning to stop working, but I want to work in a little bit different capacity. I believe 92 quarters is enough for one CEO. I love Nokia, I love our customers, our employees, our technology. This is a great job. It's also addictive, but it's a 24/7, never stops type of work, which is the reason I want to change how I work in the future. Again, in a different capacity. The achievement I'm proudest of during these 5 years is really that we have regained our technology leadership. We had a pretty tough situation in 2020. In the initial phases of 5G. Now the situation is completely different, and it is different across all network domains. And we have also identified now significant growth vectors going forward. We had a very tough market in 23 and the first half of 24 when service providers all of a sudden decided that they cut their investment after big investment boom in 21 and 22. And that obviously led to pretty challenging top-line development in 23 and first half of 24 with us and all our competitors. So we were not in any way an exception there. But I'm so pleased to see that the markets are now coming back. There is increased momentum. We had 9% growth in Q4, and we had the highest profitability in 10 years, 19.1% comparable operating margin in Q4. So that's why that's kind of the big picture on the outlook side. Really tough 23 and first half of 24, but now it seems to be coming. But most importantly, we have taken care of our cost base, we have reduced cost, we have improved our technology position, and that should put us in a good position now when the markets are as I said, coming back. Justin Hotard is a great choice for Nokia's next CEO. I'll be working together with him on a smooth transition. This is not one of those leadership transitions where the previous CEO disappears on the day of announcement. I'll be working together with him basically until the end of the year. As much help he wishes to receive, I will do everything in my power to help him to a successful start. And once again, I'm sure he's looking forward to meeting you all. And again, I believe he's a great choice to be my successor at Nokia. So that's all. And now the next one up will be Federico. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. And let's talk a little bit about the growth engine. So we're catching the wave. And there is no question that over the last 4 years, the market has been a roller coaster. We started in 2021, beginning of 21, with network infrastructure, and we had crazy growth driven by the demand that was coming from the COVID days. Remember that we were all locked down. Everybody was installing fiber to the home, so you could have the right service from your home. And we surfed that wave, growing our business in fixed. Of course, that brought optical and IP up as well some quarters later. But then, of course, it came the lower, the part of the curve that goes down. We had a decline, a sharp decline in 23, as Pekka was explaining, until mid-24. And that was because we had created a lot of inventory in the system, and it had to be digested. And now what we're seeing is a rebound. And for us, it comes in the best moment. Warren Buffett once said that when the tide goes down, you could see who's been swimming naked. And I would add, when the tides come in again, you can see who's got the best boat and the best crew. And I'm betting that's going to be Nokia. Our 3 divisions, fixed networks, IP networks, and optical networks, are ready for the rising tide. We're ready from a technology viewpoint, we're ready from an operational viewpoint, and we are ready from a people viewpoint. Now let's start with fixed networks. Fiber has passed 50% of the homes worldwide. Is that a lot? Well, I want to see the bottle half empty this time. There is another half that we have to pass. But on top of that, one thing is to pass the home, another thing is connecting the home. There is still a lot of homes to be connected. So the market is going to be there, still demanding fiber equipment. On top of that, you have the upgrades for speed that are needed with the new services. And in Nokia, what we have is GPON, XGS-PON, and 25 gig PON in the same line card. And that's super important because when you do an upgrade, you can use the same line card to provide the 3 services so customers individually can upgrade themselves. And that saves a lot of money in operations for our customers. Of course, on top of that, we have tested already 50 gigabit per second PON with people like Google. And we have even done demos with 100 gigabit PON with customers like MBN and Elisa. Now, I always say the same. I have lived in my life a lot of upgrades since the days of DSL. A technology is not successful in a market until the cost goes to a point in which it makes it competitive, because customers are not ready to pay more than what they are ready to pay. So we are not competing just against other companies. We are competing against the maximum price the end user is willing to pay. And we have to wait a little bit for 50 or 100 gig. Now, once demand is there, we're going to be ready as usual. Now, on top of having the right level of innovation, we have to help customers to monetize that network. And for that, we have, for example, our Corteca platform that is a fantastic way for customers to insert applications that allow them to monetize. On top, our Quillion chip, which is the one that I was mentioning before, the multi-PON chip that allow customers to use GPON, XGS-PON, and 25 gig PON, reduces 50% the power consumption in the chip. Altiplano, which is our automation platform, again, reduce the OpEx in the network. And in the end, fixed network is about two things: investing in innovation, to always be the first in the market, and then in cost improvement. And we are investing in both. And of course, we are using also AI to increase productivity. Everybody's using AI. All the companies in all the sectors, all the industries. In our case, on top of using AI for productivity, we have to use it in order to deliver the traffic that AI is demanding. So we're getting ready because AI is one of the drivers of growth, the other being fiber. Now, we're investing significantly in IP, as you know, and this is to respond to the pressure that we're having in the demand for data center networks from AI. But we offer other solutions. We offer SR Linux, we offer Sonic, different network operation system, because depending on the customer, they want different solutions. We are ready for all of them. And as Pekka mentioned as well, we have our new event-driven automation platform called IDA, which is based on Kubernetes and is having one single aim, which is zero human error in the data center network. Today, you know that only half of the operation is managed. We are reducing the effort down 40%. So half of the data center management is done. With IDA, what we intend is to manage everything and reduce 40% the complexity of managing it. IDA is only one part of our portfolio. On top of that, we have, of course, a portfolio of routers that in the last years have been growing market share to the point that we, in the last report of Dell'Oro, were reported #1 worldwide, excluding China, in total routing for the first time ever. We are #1 in North America in total routing. We are #1 in EMEA in total routing in the quarter in Q4. Now, on top of that, we are recognized also in data center by GigaOm for the second year in a row, by the way, as an innovation leader and outperformer. And that's in a part of the network where we are a challenger. Let's face it, we are a challenger. We're starting to enter into that part of the network, banking on the success that we had with the service provider. But we are starting to have some good wins, for example, in GPU as a service type of applications with CoreWeave and N-Scale, with hyperscalers like Microsoft Azure, with partnership with Kyndryl and Lenovo for enterprise data center to cover all the bases. So there is also opportunities as well in the service provider space for data center interconnect in this case. For example, Telekom Malaysia, where we are using our optical network for hyperscaler connectivity. And talking about optical network, there is a little something that happened this week, which is the matter of Infinera. Infinera came to Nokia, and we are, well, looks like we have been together forever. It's only 48 hours. And the deal was closed really fast. We announced at the end of June, and we closed at the end of February. So that's remarkably fast. That was because for the regulators it made sense, and for the customers, they love it. In both sides, all the conversation we have had with our customers, they like it. Now, Infinera is going to be a game changer for us in optical, and for that I have here today with us James Watt, which is our VP GM in charge of optical networks. James.
Thanks, Federico. Happy to be here. As Federico said, AI brings challenges to networks. It just starts with the scale. We've been talking about the data tsunami for over a decade. Well, we ain't seen nothing yet. Power requirements are getting very, very interesting, and we need to tame them to make sure that this is a tractable situation. I was in Dubai a few weeks ago, and we were all sobered a bit when we realized after some simple math that the amount of power required by the data centers were more than it takes to run the city. So, and even then, if that wasn't enough, we've reached the limit of, we can reach the limit of what we can cram onto a single fiber. So there's a lot of need here for innovation in being able to expand networks affordably. And the new shape of the optical networking business is going to put us in much better shape to help the operators do that. Our shared history is rooted in technology innovation. The PSC-6S is a huge milestone in the evolution of supercoherent transmission. Scale up to 1.2 terabits per second per wavelength with a reach of over 2,500 kilometers, 800 gigabits per second, and taking significant amounts out of the network power consumption. This is a history. We have a history of firsts and bests. And on the Infinera side, it's very similar. Whether it's the first large-scale photonic integrated circuit back in 2004, or Nyquist subcarriers, or multi-vendor interoperable PCS, this is a shared heritage of technology innovation. And together, we will have much stronger solutions for the AI era. Speaking of together, with the teams together on the DSP and the optical front-end side, we're going to be able to deliver multiple generations, multiple applications and generations at the same time we used to do one. Backed by the fundamental research from Bell Labs, but also with much greater technology depth, especially adding the indium phosphide capabilities to our strength in silicon photonics, and then adding on top of that vertical integration, right? Both with the fab and with the advanced packaging and test. Together, this will give us much richer technology and customer solutions. It's an amazing time to be in optical networks at Nokia, and I'm just so happy to be in a position where I can lead the team forward and meet the opportunity and the challenges this is going to bring. Federico?
Yeah, and also we have with us David here, which is going to work with us as Chief Strategic Growth Officer. So we are looking forward for Dave to bring us all the growth. And Dave, do you want to say a few words after 40 hours in the company?
Thanks. I guess I get a quota 40 hours into the job, so thank you very much for that. It's great to be here. It has been about 40 hours on the job, but I did join Bell Labs back in 1990, so it's good to be back home. What I will tell you is the timing of this deal just couldn't be any better. And I say that because typically when you announce a deal, customers get a bit confused. Both service providers, web scalers, they panic what's going to happen. I will tell you, since the deal's been announced in June, both businesses have gained momentum.
Yep.
And that was if you look all the way into Q4, network infrastructure grew at 19% in terms of revenue, had a book-to-bill above 1. Infinera grew 17% year over year in revenue and had a book-to-bill of 1.3. I think the big piece here is the design wins we see going forward. The scale of those, this had to happen. For customers to get lowest power per bit, which is becoming super important, lowest cost per bit, and the greatest agility, you need to go all the way down into the chipset, whether that's in access, whether that's in routing, or whether that's in optical. Those three technologies are now coming together. In order to get that to happen at angstrom scale inside a chipset, things are coming together. And they're coming together in massive scale. All of these areas are huge growth opportunities for Nokia going forward. Our team is jacked up. We're very, very stoked to be able to put the R&D that both companies have done separately over the last decade or so, together with what can be going forward, our R&D plan to address some really big markets. Whether it's think of it as tens of thousands of links that go under the sea, to hundreds of thousands of links that go into the long distance networks that are going out there, large fiber networks going out there, to millions of connections in between data centers. As James said, data centers are being erected in power grids you're running out of power, so we're having to build new data centers in a grid that can actually power and consume that for the bandwidth that's going through. All the way to inside the data center. We're now starting to use optical chipsets, photonically integrated circuits to move very short distances between GPUs. That opens up hundreds of millions of connections inside these data centers that we are absolutely prepared to go service. And that goes all the way out to the broadband access that Federico started with, which is hundreds of millions of connections. You know, our doctor said fiber is good for us. It's getting ridiculous. Fiber is everywhere. And you're starting to see us be in a unique position from a chip perspective, from a systems and a software perspective to really make that happen. And I'll tell you, the partnership that we've seen and the grip we've gotten from our customers, I've never seen it before.
Yep.
And so again, we're loaded for bear. Big start for the year. We've already seen initial demand coming in, but the next 5 years, we're going to see a super cycle of investment in network infrastructure. And I couldn't be more excited to partner with Federico on that. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
And the timing couldn't be better. We were dreaming to close the deal right before Mobile World Congress, and we got it. And in the last few hours that we have been in the same company, finally we have been able to talk freely about the opportunities. And man, I mean, we have a line of opportunities there to fill. So you're not going to get bored. Now, thank you both. Thank you, James. Thank you, David. What I am convinced is that we have a better boat to serve the wave. We have a better crew. And we are ready for several things, but especially we're ready for the data center revolution. We are ready to help operators to monetize value from their networks that we're building, and we are ready to help them to connect the world. So thank you very much for your attention, and Raghav, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Federico, and hello to everyone. And it's really, really good when your CEO can actually tell you a story. So I'll just make a brief comments because what I really like to do is to tell our story through a customer lens. But Pekka talked a lot about the momentum that we have had, and it's actually in 4 key areas that we're really focused on. The first is really around core, and it's the cloudification of core. And this is a space, as Pekka talked about, we've got over 123 networks right now in the 5G SA. And in fact, what is really, really interesting is we have, based on our own estimates, over 50% of the 5G SA networks that are being deployed at this point in time. So we're making a lot of progress there. Obviously, Pekka talked about AT&T, Ooredoo, and also talked about Telefonica Spain. These are recent announcements, and we'll learn a little bit more about some of the additional announcements later on in the conversation. And I think what is really, really interesting for us is that it's not just about the core, but it's about all of the automation above the core. And this is very, very important as this notion of what is called autonomous networks makes more and more acceleration in the market. And this is super, super important because this is what will allow us to not only manage these complex networks, but allow us to actually expose the network to the larger ecosystem above. So that's another area that we are very focused on, and this is where we're adding AI, agentic AI, bringing in things like observability, such that we can actually harness the whole network and be able to make that a highly automated end-to-end. In addition to that, we have now, on the monetization front, which is something that we've been talking about for quite some time with the recent acquisition of Rapid, we have now over 55 customers and partners that now we have established relationships with. And this is very, very important for us. And not only it is important in terms of the adoption of the framework, because in order to monetize, we will have to connect the APIs of the network into the ecosystem. And this is a very critical area of growth for us. And finally, it's in the area of private networks, which is what we call as our edge strategy. And this is where the industrial base of mines, ports, manufacturing, all of these industries are trying to digitalize. And there are three attributes that they're looking for. One is to make sure that they provide worker safety. The second is to provide ESG benefits. And the third is productivity gains. And I'm very proud that this is an area we have clear thought leadership, over 850 networks established. And with a recent study that showed from GSA last week, we have over 50% of the market share in this space. So it's an area which is growing very fast at double digits, and we continue to see this momentum coming along. As we go around, one of the advantages that I have is to being able to talk to customers. And so the real question is, what is really on top of their minds? One of the key things that they're thinking about today is how do they improve customer experience? This is a very, very important aspect. If you want to monetize, you've got to be able to get that done first. So this is an important criteria that they're looking for. Underneath that, once you deliver that customer experience, is obviously growth, revenue growth. And that becomes a subset of that experience. But underneath that, what you really need to also continue to do is to take cost out of the business. And this is where things like automation become extremely important to drive the digitalization of the network itself. And that's another area that is becoming very important. And finally, even our operator customers are very, very interested in pursuing businesses in the enterprise space by providing networks, not only private networks as on-site private networks, but also providing it through a hybrid network, through the macro network, using things like slicing. And this is becoming a very important part. So it's about cloud, it's about automation, it's about monetization and enterprises. And this is the key area that we are focused on. But when we think about industry leaders who are really taking this journey and kind of leading this journey in a very, very big way, I think it is the types of partnerships that we have established with leading companies that has really, really made a difference. And what I'd like to do right now is to really be able to tell our story through the lens of one of the leading customers in the world. And I'd like to invite Ulf, President of Technology at T-Mobile, the USA, to come and join me on stage for a little bit of a fireside chat. So welcome, Ulf.
Right. Thanks, Raga. Thanks. Thank you. Wow, magenta.
Please go.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So thanks, Ulf, for joining us here. Much appreciate the time. You know, if I started to talk about innovations at T-Mobile, I'd probably consume the whole 15 minutes. So I'll just talk about
You do a lot.
You clearly do. But clearly, you know, in terms of the innovations that you've been driving, you clearly were the first to launch 5G SA, and you're probably the largest SA network around in the world. You're also one of on the stock markets, you have one of the highest market cap in the industry. So that's a very, very clear statement of leadership. You've led in VoNR, you've led in carrier aggregation, you know, you've got T-Live, T-Priority, all of these innovations that are coming on. But let's try and unpack some of this innovation of what's causing the technology underneath that is causing all of this success. So the first thing I want to talk about is cloud. So, you know, this is something that you're adopting quite aggressively in your environment. But could you tell us kind of, you know, your strategy there, how you're consuming and adopting it, and where you are in this journey?
All right, well, thanks, Raghav. And yes, innovation is really part of what we do in a very large scale. We have one word in T-Mobile that we call dream big and deliver. That's kind of an internal mantra, where number one thing is always for customer, right? So everything we do is for customer. And it's been so that we have been able to process through a number of these innovations and make them a reality. The standalone network, as you mentioned, 2020, we had standalone, like nobody even. So our idea from the beginning was to invest, make bold investments, and try to attract customers by making bold investments. And we used 5G to leapfrog competition in the United States, which has been very successful, and we continue to ride that. On that journey, we realized that we need to be faster at deploying software into our network. We need to be able to get services much faster out. Last year was an amazing year. I don't know if anyone saw, but we did a lot of network slicing last year. So what is that? That's when we can create a monetizable monetizable customer experience through the entire network. Why it's complicated is because we need to program our radio access, we need to program the core, we need to program the transport, everything in between. And we need to do it instantaneously, right? So if you take, for example, the big sports events that we have done, the PGA Golf, we've done Major League Baseball, we've done Formula One with our sponsorship of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, where we use network slicing, where there is a lot of traffic on the network, and we can, at the same time, guarantee traffic through the network for passing in, for push-to-talk applications, and all this. Now, having said this, we realize that we bring this into our enterprise business, which we do at large scale, doing hospitals, doing retail, doing airports, and it's a business that's growing very fast. So then we need to be able to do this much, much faster, and therefore the programmable network, and therefore we're moving everything we can over to a cloud-native infrastructure. And our partnership with Nokia is absolutely essential to do that. You're providing us with the orchestration engine and so many other parts of having to do this. And our cloud story now becomes more of the autonomous network story, which I know is like the biggest buzzword in the industry. But what is different is that we do it. And we do it at a large scale. So we're building out cloud-native workloads across the network, including, which I know that we're going to mention that later, about our AI RAN story, which is it's about doing even the RAN cloud-native eventually.
Well, thank you, Ulf. Clearly there's a lot of innovation going on there. I mean, if you look at the automation world, I mean, the area in the automation side of things, I mean, operators are at various stages of automation. And this is around orchestration, it's around slicing, it's all of these things. How did you take this journey, and what do you think the key success factors, and where do you think you are, and what more do you have to get done here?
Well, the Un-carrier, T-Mobile, we always think about automation also in the lens of customer. So we are creating customer journeys that are as automated as we possibly can. We announced our partnership with OpenAI during our Capital Markets Day last year, which is part of taking customer journeys and making them something exceptionally good. On the network piece, it's the same thing. We're doing it to create a better customer experience. And that means the automation of instantiations of slices that we talked about, like creating these slices when we need to, but also all the other parts of the network that can create a higher resiliency, and by that, a better customer experience. I could mention, there were, I don't know if anyone from the US here? Yeah, good. So we got some pretty big hurricanes, like Milton and Helene going through at the end of last year. And by using automation in our radio access, we were able to recover customers much, much faster. We actually cut the time to recover customers in half by tuning and tilting the antennas so that if a site fell out because of loss of power, we were able to tilt and cover up for that and have as few customers out as possible. It's just an example of automation that we're doing. We're automating as much as we possibly can. A lot of this is now combined with self-learning and AI, because then we can be more accurate in the automation than we were before. So I'm super excited to say that we're doing
No, clearly, I mean, the adoption of AI within T-Mobile has been pretty good, and you continue to adopt it in a big way.
Sure.
One of the other questions, Ulf, is that one of the key things that we have to do as an industry is connect to the ecosystem that is around us. And this is talking about making sure that we build platforms that expose the network, which can be consumed by the ecosystem. And an ecosystem can declare an intent that this is what I want from the network, and the network is able to deliver that. So can you give us a little bit of a feel for where in the journey you are with things like APIs and creating those monetization platforms that can serve practically any industry in itself?
Right. I mean, we joined the big API for us that have been created together with many other operators that create something. But for us, I think the most important is that the people who want to work with us are able to connect in. So we also have our own APIs that we expose, things that we do with partners of different kinds. We launched, I don't know if you noticed that, we launched something called T-Life a couple of weeks ago, T-Priority a couple of weeks ago, which we use for first responders. It's the first network slice for first responders, firefighters, police, etc. Many new requirements come in, like we would like to know the exact coverage over here. We would like to know another thing that we can now expose through APIs, for example. So it's very important for us to open up the network for others to be able to use it. When I look at it, the enterprise business is a fast-growing area. When it comes to partners that wants to do things with us on our network, yes, definitely. So it's a big deal.
Okay. Well, thanks for that.
You could see from our perspective, our APIs become products.
True.
That's kind of how it works.
And it's pretty much a platform that can serve any industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also there comes in automation. If somebody wants to do business with us, we can't really go into a meeting room and have some long discussion about that. It needs to be a fully automated world. We need to be in control of our network, but at the same time we can apply the possibility for anyone to log on, figure out how to get what they want, and then we can create a slice or something that is needed for their business.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask you this question. We've been kind of partnering on the core side, on the automation side, on the API side of things.
We have.
Can you give you a sense of how that partnership is going and any reflections on that?
Well, Raghav, I'm glad to be here. First of all, to also pay tribute to our partnership, to your responsiveness, and how fast we can move together. T-Mobile wants to move fast. We are deploying softwares at an unprecedented scale, as you know, and we can be pretty demanding too. But I think we are moving along the track that we don't want to go bespoke. We want to make sure we stay on 5G Advanced, which is one of the big things we're working on now, all the way generating new opportunities, even up into 6th generation. So I couldn't be more happy to work with Nokia on this. You have an excellent R&D team. It's easy to be able to deploy softwares for us, and you're going cloud native faster than many others. So we're very excited about that.
Well, thank you, Wolf, and thank you for the time as well. But you do have a very broad relationship with us as Nokia, and one of the areas I know that you're pioneering is AI RAN. So just if you could stay on stage for a little bit more, because my colleague Tommy here has a few things that he would want to talk to you and some of our other customers as well. So, Tommy, with that, I'd like to welcome you on the stage, and thank you all.
Raghav.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Tjena, Ulf.
Oh,
how's it going?
Oh, very good. They left me up here.
Yeah, and that's not a coincidence, as we'll shortly hear. So, hello everyone, and welcome from my side as well to Mobile World Congress, the World Cup of speed dating for the next 4 days. In Pekka's opening, he referred to 3 growth engines or growth segments for Nokia: data center switching, defense, and private wireless for enterprise. And in mobile networks, we are proud and humbled about having the chance to work on 2 of those, defense and the private wireless. And defense is such a no-brainer. I mean, if you think about the wireless communication systems that NATO and many armed forces around the world have, they have systems which are optimized for voice, and the data capability is comparable to 3G. If they complemented those systems with dual-use 4G and 5G technology, they get 10 times the performance for 1/10 of the cost. No-brainer. And we're so super proud about this Lockheed Martin partnership, the first of many to come in this space. There are other hot topics in the area of mobile networks, and indeed it's not a coincidence that Ulf Ewaldsson is staying on stage, because that one topic that I want to talk about is AI RAN. And T-Mobile USA has been one of the forerunners in exploring and thinking about how to make AI RAN happen, how to benefit from that. So let's first take a look at what actually is AI RAN. If we simplify a little bit, if we simplify this topic a little bit, start from the middle, we can use artificial intelligence for improving network performance. that's kind of straightforward and obvious. There's been academic research for the past 10 years that AI and ML can beat Viterbi theories in network performance. But there's more than that. There are AI applications which you would want to run in the end user device, like frameless glasses like mine, but you can't put all of the AI computing capability in this type of device, so you actually benefit from splitting the AI computing between the end user device and the base station, the network. And that's related to the third area, which is, say an operator in the United States has 90,000 base stations. They have dimensioned those base stations according to, say, the busy hour traffic, the time when there's most amount of traffic. But that capacity is not needed all of the time. So what if we change the paradigm so that a base station site becomes a far edge cloud site with AI computing capability? And what if we could sell that extra capacity, that spare capacity of AI computing to whomever happens to need it? And these are the three ways of how we look at AI RAN in AI RAN Alliance, where we were invited by our leading operator partners. So with this, I would like to invite to the stage two more leaders, starting from Vikram Sinha, the President and CEO of Indosat Ooredoo Hutchison from Indonesia. Vikram, welcome. Good to see you.
Likewise, my friend.
And these two guys know each other very well, and not least because of AI RAN. And then we have Wakikawa-san from SoftBank of Japan. He is heading the research in advanced technologies like AI RAN. Welcome, Wakikawa-san.
Thanks, Tommy.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Thank you so much. Hey,
Wakikawa-san.
nice meeting. Thank you.
Hey.
So, now, let's start from Ulf. In the recent years, T-Mobile USA has been the operator who has really been shaping the future of mobile networks, just exploring how far we can go with mobile technology. What is your vision now that you also focus so much on customer experience? It always starts from the customer experience. What are you going to make out of AI in customer experience for the benefit of T-Mobile customers?
Right. Well, it's great. First of all, thanks for your kind words about our company. I think our leading star at T-Mobile is always customer experience. And when you take the lines and you draw them out into the future, we soon find that devices are going to be very AI heavy in the long term. Even though we have the best spectrum assets in the US market, which we are exploiting to the fullest in 5G now, we can see that there are great opportunities for future, both for coverage and more capacity in terms of controlling beams and controlling radio capabilities even better than they are controlled today. Mm-hmm. Even early trials that we're doing together shows that there is huge potential in applying the AI technology. The capability of driving AI workloads, which with split rendering, partly done on your device, your example of the glasses or whatever that might be, and using the edge of our network to do some of that computing is really exciting. It's really exciting to see that could be done. And then the topic that we talked about before, automation. So to be able to automate, I gave an example of hurricanes and all this stuff. We're automating as much as we can when it also comes to creating an even better customer experience. So those would be my AI RAN thoughts for the future. I'm also just want to say right off the bat, we're super excited about the AI RAN Alliance, founding members together with SoftBank and a few others, and getting together and seeing that there is so much momentum around this. Because at the end of the day, we live in a standardized industry, and we need to be able to drive large ecosystems with what we're doing, and I'm super excited about that.
Sounds like AI is everywhere in your operation. It's like only our imagination is the limit to what you can make out of AI in your business.
A lot of, yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot together today already, and I think the future just holds more.
Great. Let's move to Vikram. Vikram Sinha has done one of the best jobs in the world, if not the best job in the world, in consolidating, integrating 2 operators and 2 networks. And you know, the only parallel would actually be T-Mobile US when you did that with Sprint.
We did.
Know? So you're in the same
record
league.
time.
You're in the same league, and that made you a big hero. But that's now done. So where do we go from here? And we have discussed AI RAN, but from our discussions, I've noticed that in your case, there's more than just AI RAN and the network. Indonesia happens to be the 3rd fastest growing economy in the world in absolute terms, the 4th most populous country in the world. And I've somehow sensed that beyond the network, Indosat Ooredoo Hutchison has some noble task and mission in the Indonesian context. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that, and what does that mean?
First of all, thank you very much for your kind words. I think it's a very special thing sitting next to Wolf. I have to say this. You know, now we have just completed 3 years of our merger, but I have to thank Nokia, especially you, Tommy, and Pekka. I'll highlight 2 things. You know, customers don't care about merger, no merger. What they focus on, experience, how is it improving? And it was Nokia who came up with this famous least disruption index. You were the first to give us that, and that has become the playbook in Asia. Many operators are following, and many more want to follow. The second thing, the whole approach of strategic partnership, this whole merger integration of 50,000 sites, in fact 64,000, was planned to be done on 36 months. All consultant, all clean team member, basis historical data. With support from Nokia, we did it in 11 months. So thank you, Pekka, Tommy, and the entire leadership team of Nokia. When you do such bold thing, you can't do it alone. You need like-minded partner. And for me personally, and for my management team, the role model was T-Mobile. So I'm so happy that I'm sitting next to Wolf. I don't know how many of you know Wolf call Indonesia as his second home.
I do.
Yeah.
My wife is from Indonesia.
So I got the opportunity to learn a lot. I think one of the things which we picked up and it worked for us was working for the larger purpose, culture of the larger purpose. And Indosat is a very iconic brand, 57-year-old brand, first brand in Indonesia to connect Indonesia to the world. And that is where we started our merger journey of empowering every Indonesian and staying true to that. And you are right, you know, we did it, 100 million customer, lot of good things, but that is all behind us. So last year in August, in the Capital Market Day, what merger did, it gave us the scale. And then we said that our AI North Star has 3 pillars. Pillar 1, we want to be a AI native telco. I think it is very important, until unless you are not doing well on your core business, it's very difficult to do new things. And again, with Nokia and with other partners, we want to make sure how we bring AI learning from T-Mobile across. The second pillar was AI native techco. We were very blessed that NVIDIA chose us to be the NCP. We got our first GPU cluster ready. I was very impressed to see what Nokia is doing on that space with CoreWeave and all. We'll be very happy to build on that. But the real thing was the larger purpose. We wanted Indonesia to be the shaper on AI. Historically, a country like Indonesia has been seen as a taker, a country only for consumption. And I think that larger purpose is so important. We have a new president in Indonesia, and he has given a target of 8% GDP growth, an early adaptation of AI. We have a well-researched report, which was released in January, very clearly demonstrate that it will help Indonesia from a level of 5% to move towards 8%, whether it is health, education, agriculture. And these things create impact at scale, Tommy. So I think we are in that exciting journey. Little bit learning from T-Mobile, dream big and doing is everything. So we want to make sure we stay true to that.
Yeah, and a noble mission for the great country in Indonesia. So great stuff. Let's move to Vakikawa-san. And first of all, arigatou gozaimasu for inviting us to the AI RAN Alliance.
Yep.
You invited us in the early days. And you've done a lot of advanced research in the capabilities and the potential of using Gen AI in radio networks. Now, our Bell Labs researchers, they've done different types of analysis of how the traffic will be growing in networks without AI, but also because of AI. And I actually have to cheat that they say that by 2033, there would be 1,888 plus minus exabytes per month of traffic going through mobile networks.
Right.
So how do we make this work? What is your vision of how do you architect a mobile network to be able to cater for all this traffic using AI?
Yeah. Thanks, Tommy. Arigatou gozaimasu. And so SoftBank has been working on this AI, infrastructure. So infrastructure for AI, and we've been developing the whole a data center for training. But I think the data center for training is more an investment. Most important for operators is inference, AI inference infrastructure. So where's the revenue come? So we want to capture that revenue somewhat in the operators' business, and we need some technology to capture these AI inference revenue opportunity. That's AI RAN. And operator has a very premium spot, which is next to the customer in the base stations, everywhere, nationwide. But someone we cannot really turn these premium spot into the revenue opportunity, right, in the decade. Well, edge computing, we've been speaking about these edge for more than a decade, but it's really not happening, to be honest, in the business-wise. But this is the last chance for operators to transform our premium edge into the, our revenue stream. And that will be the key for operator to transform the dumb pipe to the premium pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where we've been working very closely with Nokia, and Nokia has all the vRAN on some GPU server with their hardware acceleration card. So we also bring our orchestrator on the same platform to activate the GPU as a revenue source. So actually, engineering work, we have a prototype, and you will see the demonstration in the Nokia booth. And this is a great collaboration because we just spent a few months. So this speed of innovation was amazing. Because actually, when we started this AI RAN thing, and thanks for Timo for helping us, and we have a very good momentum on the AI RAN Alliance. One of the biggest concerns is the speed of innovations. AI is super fast. While a telco, to be honest, big innovation is happening only every 10 years in G, right? 4G to 5G, 5G to 6G. So the lifetime cycle was so different. But here, we had a very great collaboration with Nokia, and we make all the engineering work and make it happen. So this is still a middle journey, and our business takes time, right? I mean, for the deployment, network deployment takes a few years. Mm-hmm. So hope we have a final AI RAN product from Nokia soon, and I'm very looking forward to it.
Thank you, thank you. Very good, very good. Now I think we have time only for one more question. Unfortunately, I would have wanted to continue this discussion for the whole afternoon and evening with these three leaders. But if I have one question, I will actually direct this to Ulf. And I said in the beginning that you can look at AI run in 3 ways. So improving network performance, making some AI applications work, splitting the AI computing between end user device and the network or base station, or making the base station site a far edge cloud site with AI computing and an AI factory. Which one of these 3 is the most important?
Wow, that's a difficult question. But because they are sort of different diagonals, and I mean, they are intersecting. Making use of our spectrum is very important. Spectrum, this industry is a spectrum-intensive industry. I think we're making great progress. Vakisava-san, you pointed to the trials that we're doing and putting GPUs all the way out there. Not sure exactly when the architecture is ready to do that or where they should be, if it's a base station or maybe upstream a little bit. But and I know that we're exploring that together. I'm super excited about that. It can lead to those opportunities. But I think equally important is all the AI workloads that we can put on top, that we could run for the whole network. I know, Vikram, you mentioned many of the things that you guys are doing together with NVIDIA as well and finding out these new opportunities. It's just, there are so many dimensions of this, it's hard to choose one, and I will not.
So it's all 3. That's what you're saying. Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Hey, thank you so much. This concludes this session. Thank you so much, and we will move to the next topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you, Akikawa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikram. Good to see you. And I would like to invite to the stage Maria Weisma.
I have a clicker.
You have a okay. All right.
Thank you very much, Tommy, and thank you all for the great presentations today. I'm Maria Weismar, Head of External Communications, and now we're moving on to the Q&A session where you have a chance to ask questions from our speaker from today. So let's also get our rest of our speakers back to the stage. So Pekka, Federico, Rakov, please. Let's wait that you're all comfortably seated before you are prepared to get, hopefully, tough questions.
And all the difficult questions to Pekka, please. So.
All right. So if you do have a question, please raise your hand up, and one of my lovely colleagues will hand over to you a microphone. And also, if you can please limit yourself to 1 question and a brief follow-up. And with that, let's get started and take the first question from the room. All right, we have Gillian over there. Over to you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's Gillian Deutsch, Bloomberg. I'm going to sneak in 2 questions for Pekka, and hopefully I'll make them tough. First, I want to ask about, you mentioned that service providers make up 80% of Nokia's revenue currently. I know you don't like when I ask you questions about your time or Nokia's future when you were no longer CEO. But what would you expect your revenues to be from defense and data center customers in the next 2 years? And I'll just sneak one in also about tariffs. I'm curious how you're preparing Nokia for the possibility of tariffs between the EU and the US.
Well, the growth areas, including defense, I mean, they are major growth areas in terms of their potential. And we are talking about a market that is definitely offering a multi-billion opportunity. But one thing I am not going to do here today is to announce some financial targets to my successor. So, that would not be prudent or professional. So what we have said we will do is then later this year we will have a Capital Market Day that will specifically focus on some of these growth areas. So that would then be the time to get a little bit more concrete there. On the tariff question, so that's of course a tricky one since nobody really knows what's going to happen. The good thing with Nokia is that we have a supply chain approach where we are relying pretty heavily on contract manufacturers. We have 2 fully owned factories of our own, one in Finland and one in India, but most of manufacturing is done with contract partners, which gives us a lot of flexibility, and we have manufacturing opportunities in different parts of the world, including for certain products in the United States. We were the first one to announce a BEAD program-compatible broadband manufacturing in Wisconsin, and we started to build products there last year. Now, with the acquisition of Infinera, we will have optical manufacturing, including component manufacturing capabilities in the US. We just need to see where this will go. Obviously, a global tariff war would not be anyone's benefit, and we certainly hope that that would not happen, but we are ready for different scenarios.
Just as a quick follow-up, I mean, have you made any changes to your supply chains based on the possibility of tariffs coming up?
No, not really, but we have, of course, we are reviewing the plans. We are calculating different alternatives based on the scenarios that we have seen, and we start to understand what the different options would be.
And I would say that actually the COVID and semiconductor crisis already made us regionalize our supply chain much better, which makes us, better ready for this type of surprise events.
Thank you, Tommi and Pekka. And then for the next question, if you can please state your name and the organization that you're representing over there.
Thank you. This is Jerry Karen with Global Data. Thanks for all the comments and information, and congratulations, Pekka, on your decision to take a next step. My question is actually a follow-up to the one that we just had regarding the growth strategy plan, and maybe it'll be articulated more clearly, or it will have to be by this capital markets day you're talking about. But how do you balance the investments that the company needs to make to achieve whatever the objectives are in those growth areas, data centers, and defense, enterprise, et cetera, whilst also continuing to invest in being a technological leader in that core massive traditional business that you have around mobile networks, et cetera? It seems to me to be quite a challenge, actually.
Actually, well, first of all, that's a great question. Thanks for asking it. But actually, these two are fairly complementary, because the approach we are taking to these growth sectors is that we are using and reusing most of the R&D that we have already put in and continue to put in for the service provider businesses. So, for example, for data centers, we are taking all our carrier-grade features and capabilities and performance that we have learned in the operator networks and bringing them to data centers, because when they are growing in scale and complexity, what are they going to need? They need performance, they need quality, they need uptime, they need programmability, flexibility, automation, which are exactly the features that we have been developing for service providers. The same which Tommi actually mentioned on the mobile network side, two of the growth areas, which are defense, communications, and then private wireless, both are leveraging the fundamental 5G R&D investment. Tommi is investing 2 billion per year in R&D. Almost all of that is highly relevant in these growth segments as well. So these two are not mutually exclusive.
Thank you very much, Pekka. And we have the next question from the back of the room, please.
Okay. Thank you. Hi. Joe Madden, Mobile Experts. So you have your ecosystem for network APIs. Ericsson also has an ecosystem for network APIs. My question is, would it be advantageous to work together and create one single ecosystem, or is it better to compete?
Can I take that question? Thank you. I think what's important to understand is there's going to be no single ecosystem that is actually going to exist. There's going to be multiple ecosystems that will exist. And so for us, it's important that we establish that as being part of that Ericsson ecosystem is not something that we are pursuing. We believe that it's important to pursue a platform strategy which is much more connected to the network itself. And that's how we are building the platform and the automation that is required underneath that allows you to expose robust APIs northbound. So our strategy really is that we want to be playing in the network in itself. And I think there's going to be multiple ecosystems, and this is just a good, it's good that we're seeing these things exist, because this is what's going to actually make it successful at the end of the day. So we see multiple ecosystems, so we have no strategy of being able to partner there. We believe we have a good strategy that is working, extremely well and will continue to do so.
Thank you, Raghav. And let's take the next question from the back of the room. Over
Hi,
there.
Dan Jones from Fierce Network. I'm going to dive back into the geopolitical a bit here. Has Nokia had any discussion with the US government about the US government taking a share in Nokia? Because there's obviously been some discussion in the media about that.
Well, the relationship with the US government and other relevant governments in the world obviously is extremely important. We are not commenting, obviously, any questions like that you mentioned. We just say that we are partnering with governments and the US government, and our position in the US is obviously extremely important for us, but Europe is as well. And of course, these geopolitical developments that are now unfolding day by day are something that we are very much focusing on trying to understand. That we would very much hope that in these technology strategy questions and the questions around trusted vendors and trusted connectivity, there would be cooperation between Europe and the United States, because that would really benefit of us all. If that is not the case, then we have to focus separately on both of these markets. But we are a classical example of a company that has been so proud of the fact that we are headquartered in Europe, but US is our second home, and we certainly hope that to be the case also in the future.
I'll add to that it's a little-known fact that Nokia has more wireless research and product development in the United States than all of our competitors combined. That's a fact.
Thank you very much, Tommy, for that one. Great to see that we have so many questions in the room. We still have time for a few more. Let's take the next one from the right side of the room. Taka, please.
Thank you. I'm Pablo Valerio for EE Times. I want to ask you about supply chains and basically cost, because I mean, when we're looking at all these geopolitical issues that are happening right now, do you expect or are you calculating what would be the impact of tariffs all over the world between components and the way that you basically manufacture your products and serve your customers?
Absolutely, we are calculating it. And again, it's impossible to be specific without knowing exactly how the tariff situation will develop. And now there are some tariffs announced. Will there be retaliations? How that whole balance will go? But we have pretty good models, and both mobile networks and network infrastructure, they are obviously upgrading their calculations all the time. And as I said earlier, we have a manufacturing model where we are pretty flexible, so we are able to move manufacturing from different parts to other parts if that is necessary. But specifically when it comes to the United States, I did mention that we do have some manufacturing assets there, but the reality, of course, is that when you go to the component level, all the way to semiconductors and printed circuit boards, etc., there is very little manufacturing capacity available in the US, and those types of supply chains take years and years and years to build. And what businesses would, of course, need is predictability. And that is something that we don't really feel that we have at the moment. So we have to play it as well as we can. And again, our asset in this whole game is really flexibility.
Thank you very much, Pekka. Then we have a question from the back of the room, please.
Hi, Kieran Smith from the Financial Times. Just going to go back to geopolitics again. Obviously, you were in Brussels in January. I'd quite like to hear your views on the new Commission. Do you think that they are open to consolidation? And that's going to be a buzzword, I'm sure, over the course of the next few days. And at what point, if they don't move fast enough to implement some elements of the Draghi report, would you consider moving any of your operations to the US? And do you think the administration over there might potentially be better for business, which is something that Deutsche Telekom CEO said on their earnings call last week?
Yeah, we have had multiple engagements, and including events with Brussels, and I'm actually a bit more optimistic about the situation with the European Union and the new Commission now, because first of all, they withdrew the detrimental proposal on introducing new standard essential patent regulation, which would have been directly harming European R&D and the competitiveness of Europe as a destination of R&D. So that was a very positive step. Now they have announced steps to ease on some of the too burdensome regulation. And as I said in Brussels a few weeks ago, the businesses in Europe have really seen a regulatory tsunami hit them in the last few years. And what is positive is that the new Commission now seems to recognize that there is an issue. And we have been behind the US in terms of competitiveness and regulation. Now US seems to be cutting more, so there is a risk that the gap increases, but the Commission is now taking action. So I am optimistic. And when you look at the mandate letters of the commissioners, there are also mentions about the competition policy. We have said for a long time that it would be beneficial to our industry if there would be a smaller number of operators in Europe. I mean, US has 3 to 4 nationwide operators. India has 3. China has 3. And Europe has, depending on how you calculate, you can even end up with a figure that is over 200. It's too fragmented, which means that operators don't have scale. We certainly support operator consolidation, and we need to now see. Your Commission is preparing a new, I think they call it Digital Networks Act, that is supposed to address some of these problems. So we are, of course, engaging with them on a regular basis when they work on this. But I am a bit more optimistic now because at least they are now recognizing the problem.
Just to quickly follow up, if I can be cheeky. If they don't move fast enough, would you consider moving more operations to the US?
Again, as an outgoing CEO, I'm not going to announce any moves or announce any threats or anything like that. We are proud to be citizens both in Europe and the US, and we certainly hope that that's the case also in the future.
Thank you very much, Pekka. We have time for 2 very, very quick questions and quick answers. So let's take the first one from the back of the room, please.
Thank you very much, Peter Jarek, GSMA Intelligence. I had a 7-part question about your future geopolitical outlook, but given the time constraints, it was great hearing from all the business leaders, and we appreciate the time. And I think it's really important because each business has different dynamics. But I think most large organizations, you want to see sort of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. What synergies do you see? Because we didn't hear a lot about synergies across the businesses. How do you see those of connecting the dots?
Well, maybe I start with a high-level answer, and then I ask my colleagues to jump in. But there is obviously, I mean, there is a reason why we are operating 3 businesses as 3 P&Ls, but they are not separate companies because they have very important synergies on R&D, in basic research, on software, in network orchestration, network automation, network cloudification, on the chipset supplier side, basically across the whole board, how the networks are built, there are synergies across these businesses. But it is also to be recognized that in most cases, when customers make choices on their networks and their vendors, the decisions for these 3 domains that we have in our organization, they are made separately. So that's why we, in our operational model, also decided to give them a fair degree of operational freedom and operational autonomy, but they are not 3 different companies. They are all part of Nokia, and we are maximizing the synergies in all those places where they exist.
Over to you.
Any additional?
I could add, I mean, if you look at the API ecosystem that grows across the network, so we partner there to expose the network APIs. If you look at orchestration, we have to orchestrate the entire network. So there's orchestration on the services side, there's domain orchestration that comes from all the businesses. You know, so there's a lot of cooperation and stuff that we do over there. There's the whole SMO architecture where we're also collaborating. And if you look at the private wireless edge strategy, which is again something where we bring routing technology from NI, we bring the radios across from mobile networks, and we pull that whole integrated private network together. So the level of synergies is actually quite high in terms of operability of how we're working together.
Yeah. And on top, I would add that sometimes decisions are made completely independently between the 3 businesses. I'm not talking about the portfolio covering different areas of the network, but just relation.
Yeah.
In many occasions, what happens is that we're doing a great business with one customer in particular, and we open the door for other businesses from the others, and this has happened ton of
That happened, for instance, we've had a long, successful relationship with Bharti Airtel in India in mobile business, in mobility, so core and radio. And because of this strong relationship, I remember that Federico started winning business in his area, simply because the customer trusts us, they know our capabilities and all that. I would also say regarding core and radio or CNS and mobile networks, the way how customers look at it, it's a mobility business where all the end-use-oriented features are actually defined by the capabilities of the core and radio. So if you're strong in core, it makes you more relevant in radio. If you're strong in radio, it makes you more relevant in core. So and we also benefit from the joint research, take 3GPP standardization. So in that area of research and standardization, especially in the mobility area, across core and radio, we certainly have synergies.
And maybe one example of this, what Tommy just said, is I was talking about, and both Tommy and I were talking about the defense business. So that's a classical example of a solution where we have elements from all our businesses when we sell a defense system. And the miniaturized version of the tactical system that we have for battlefield communications is actually a backpack that a soldier can carry, which includes both the core network and the base station in the same backpack. So that's a real kind of field-proof integration across our businesses.
And I think you can see the backpack actually in the demo area.
Yeah, go see it.
It is here. It is
8 kilograms, 256 users, 1 to 2 kilometer cell radius, hide in plain sight, multi-radio, 4G, 5G, MANET connecting to the other wireless systems of the military. Just a fantastic product.
Right. Now thank you very much for a very good answer. And now it's time for the last question. Over to you in the middle of the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray Lemaitre from Telecom TV. Two different questions for different speakers. Is AI RAN compatible with Open RAN? Because I've heard a few suggestions that maybe one should be prioritized over another, or they're not completely compatible. And then for Federico, will there be optical product portfolio and optical team rationalization now that the Infinera deal is shut? Because it looks like there's a lot of OpEx, a lot of products coming on board with that deal.
Should we start with the Infinera one, Federico?
Sorry?
If we start with the Infinera.
There are two questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I take the second.
Okay.
So the good news is that first, we have done it before in the Nokia side when Alcatel and Lucent got together, and they have done it before with Korean in the past. Optical networks is a technology where we can do something that is, you define what is the next generation of products, and then, thanks to the fact that you have open line system, you don't need to do swaps. You just have to converge, evolve the existing portfolios to a new generation. Of course, with 40 hours into the deal, it's difficult to tell you how it's going to evolve. But the good news is that for the last 6 months, we put together teams from Infinera and from Nokia to work together to start analyzing everything. And now, next week, when Mobile World Congress is over, we're going to sit together and start to see what was that analysis and start to make the decisions. Our intention is to have those decisions made as fast as possible, because in this type of deals, the faster you make decisions, the sooner you get the synergies done. And we're quite optimistic on that. And customers are asking the same question that you ask, and we answer like I just answered, and they're happy with the answer.
To the first question, AI RAN is compatible with Open RAN. I mean, the way how most people look at Open RAN is simply having the open front haul so that you can connect one supplier's radio unit to another supplier's DU and CU function in the baseband. And AI RAN is mostly about the computing opportunity on the baseband. Could also be on the radio side, but they're really, really just compatible. And AI RAN is just one way of making Cloud RAN.
Thank you very much, Tommy and Federico. And that was our last question for today. So I would like to thank you all for a great presentation and active Q&A session in the room, and those watching this via the webcast. Here's the mandatory disclaimer that the presentations that we made today might contain forward-looking statements which are subject to or risks which are then identified in detail on our latest 20F documents. And now I would like all of you in the room to move to the networking area right outside of this conference room, where we have some exclusive and very exciting demos, and of course our energetic Nokia people to mingle with. And I know that some of you we didn't have time to take all the questions, so let's continue the questions there then on that area. But with that, thank you all, and we hope to see many of you during the coming days in our booth on the Hall 3 at the Mobile World Congress. Thank you, everyone, and thank you. Let's give a big hand to our speakers today.